I just ran 2 instances of OrCAD Core. So I will start this one. I publish one in another folder. Not this one. This one. Okay, let it start. And the other one.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, sorry, I had to switch headset. I had an issue. Just checking it's working. Okay.
And this one with a different port. You can see here. Okay. Oh, I make a mistake because I didn't prepare it. So first, I have run Docker, and I will start a Redis instance. So I only use the distribucage feature based on Redis. In this demo, it is running. Then in Visual Studio, I need a kind of stateless configuration. So I will need to republish it. Sorry. So here, it's part of the demonstration of the demo. Here in startup, I will use this. Sorry. So this is the tenant setting from the database. In app setting, sorry, my computer is slow. So here is a Redis config. So this config, it is just a configuration string. So here is just an IP address, and here an option. And you can see on this, it is in the current app setting in the dev branch. You can see as this link all the options you can have. So for the configuration, it's quite easy. And I will uncomment this one because I use the shell database. Okay. And I need a connection string.
I will just comment on the shell database because it might not be clear for everyone. By default, all the tenants, they are defined in a local file, right? And when you have 2 instances running, well, you need to move the tenants in a shared location. So in this case, we don't store on the file system, but with the feature you're enabling here, the shells database, it's saving the tenants in the database so that every instance will see the same thing, the same list of tenants.
Exactly. So here is the configuration. I have Redis. What else? Ah, yes, and in the demonstration, in the demo, maybe I will create a tenant and set up it to see if it keeps in sync. So I need, if I use the block 10, I need in the recipe to not use the file content definition. So all content definition will be stored in the database because I want a stateless configuration. So that's okay. Now, so I stop this one.
And while it's deploying, question for everyone interested is, so why do we use the file system for all these things by default? Because it's easier. Well, I get it, yeah. So while I'm asking the question, I realized that, for instance, for the file content definition, we actually were in the database at first, but we decided to go by default on the file system because it's easier for source code management and to share the new types in a database. The app settings, same. So we can save it easily, but at the same time, well, yeah, maybe for the same reasons as the file configuration.
Ask me if the default, I'm not sure of the best default configuration. Is it better to have it in the file system or database by default?
I'm just wondering if we should have everything in database by default. But when I was asking the question, I realized that we decided to change to the file system. Mm-hmm. So maybe it will be good to have some kind of template or procedure to make it easier to run something which is everything in database when we want to have this this scenario that you are demonstrating with with different instances later. I'll let you go on.
We might consider doing something with the SAS recipe for that, perhaps.
What did you suggest with recipes? The custom recipe?
With the SAS recipe would probably suit that a little bit more.
Yes, that would be one option. But at the same time, so yes, the SAS recipe might be on the database one. That would totally make sense, I think, because if you have a SAS recipe, well, SAS is more to have multiple tenants. It doesn't mean that you want multiple instances, but at least have a dedicated recipe called maybe distributed, which will use the SAS and will be distributed. Or have SAS and SAS distributed, something like that. Or should we have, I wanted to say parameterized recipes where you could select a recipe and then have a step which is, by the way, use this sub recipe that will actually remove the content, the local content definition and enable that and that and that. But yeah, that's hard. And also it's not just about recipes, because as you saw in the startup, we need to change the services that we register, right, for the shell. For the shells, so it's not just the recipes, but that will at least help like that. I don't know, I'm sure we'll find some better way or develop something, because here the issue is that the chicken and the egg, because you need to store the connection string to the database before you enter the setup to detect if you have tenants. Or at least in the setup, we know that we have a custom shell source that is nothing, so it has to go to the setup screen. But right after that, if it's the default tenant, it should use a connection string as the shell database connection string, because these are two different things, where we store all the tenants and where each tenant stores its data.
Yes, it may be two different connection strings. And in this demo, it is the same.
So maybe it's actually a different module that we could do that would take over the setup screen and be a first screen where you type the connection string of the database that will contain the tenants, something like that. And then when it's set up, then you can say, okay, now you want to create a default tenant. Where should we store this default tenant? And then you can, if you want, reuse the same database or another one. Okay, well, so good, just thinking out loud.
As I remember, I already did a setup with this configuration already in the app setting, and it was working. I needed effectively to use this and having this if I want, and having this here. It was working.
So where are we now? Did you publish the app?
Sorry?
Have you published the app already? Is it ready?
I don't remember. Maybe, yes, I think.
What you are doing right now, you are publishing the app.
Yes. It is published. I run it this is the app, and here where I publish it, I published it, and I will run both.
So we have 5,100 and okay, 5,000 and 5,100 ports. Okay, 2 ports.
Oh, not the right. Sorry. Just press this one. So the first one, and nothing will work. I didn't try it just now. And this one is 5101. They are both starting. Yes, before forgetting, I also enable Redis data protection. Okay.
Okay, and the idea with Redis data protection is that all the keys to encrypt and decrypt the authentication cookies are stored in a common location, which is in this case Redis.
Yes. I forgot something. So normally I am.
It works, at least right now. You can see the same page.
Yes, he didn't ask me for.
But even without Redis, it was already working before. So now the actual demo will be to update something somewhere and to see it appearing on the other one, even the verification.
I refresh. Sorry.
No, it's okay.
I will flush my Redis cache because I did some recent change and the key are not the same. So okay. So let's see if it works about what I can do. I have a template. I name it layout. Okay, and see in the other instance. Okay, it works. So I can change it here now. And I name it. Okay, and now here. Okay, so tenant empty. And now I will go to the tenant page. Here I need to refresh. That's okay. Okay. So here, so it's not very demonstrative because if you open 2 windows of the same instance, you will see the same things, but it's not the same port. Okay. So first thing, I will do this one, and this one. I will disable them. Okay. I will refresh this one, and I can see them disabled. I will re-enable it. Okay. Go to the other instance, and they are running. What can I do? I will.
Will you create a new tenant?
Yes.
I didn't see it. Okay, sorry.
I will.
Maybe it's the frame rate. I missed something, but it's okay. I trust you. And does it?
I will do it. I will do it. Alors,
can you go to the page then?
Tenant 11. Does it exist? 11. No.
Try 50. You're sure it's unique.
50, yes, you're right.
Or type a GUID, whatever. And then you need a prefix, yeah.
URL prefix. Recipe, I will use blog because I didn't change the agency recipe. SQL Server. This the same. And here also I need a tab prefix because I work on the same database.
It's very important here because if you take SQLite, there will be an issue because
Yes.
I mean, yeah, it can't work. It has to be.
You can use SQLite to, if you want, in a non-distributed environment, if you just want content definition in database. But with SQLite, you are right. You can share the. So all is okay. I create the tenant. Where is my alphabetic order? It is here, uninitialized. If I go there, and it will not work. It is here, and now I will set up it from this instance, or this I create from this one, and I will set up it from this one. So. Better from this one because it prefills the. Maybe if I ask here, it will say it is initializing, but I didn't try. I will try
later. But that's a good demo. Okay, now you go back.
No, from this one, if I refresh, it will be running. Where it is running, and normally it works.
Beautiful. So here, the idea is that what's important is that
I can demonstrate other things. If you want, you can ask me. I can change an autoroute or other things.
I want to explain what happened is that the tenant was registered in one instance, and then the second instance is aware of the tenant also and all the settings and can serve the pages from this tenant. And without distributed services, they don't know because they are not refreshed. But here, there is a message that is sent from one tenant to the other to say, hey, the list of tenants changed. So you need to refresh your tenants table so you can serve this tenant. That's the key here.
Just one point. You say the message it's like, but I didn't use message bus or this message. I used. I will not talk about all the things, but I used a shell hosted service, which meaning it runs in the background, but it's not a true background service. The one we already have, it's another one because it has an idle time of only 1 second. And if there is, it just grab where it is. It just grab at there is some identifier, but it grab one to see if not this one, if something had changed. But periodically, it only grab only one identifier. In most of the time, only one identifier say there is something to do. But afterwards, each shell has two identifiers. It has like in this little class, it has a release identifier and a reload identifier. So most of the time we are doing nothing, and if we need to do something without talking about all the detail, if one identifier change, here you can see from a given tenant, we release it or we reload it.
Okay, so it's pinging the Redis instance every second to see if there is a tenant change.
Yes, but yes, he grab one identifier. I have some little notes. So there is a little network activity. It depends. If you have 10 instances, all the instances will ask.
Each host is requesting Redis to check if there is a new tenant like this. Okay, interesting.
Alors with message bus, I did a little quick comparison.
Mm-hmm.
I think as we do here there is more network activity, but we just read the document identifier each second. With the message bus, we will have channel listening. So about processor time, maybe it's quite the same, but less network activity. But what I saw, it's with message bus, it's less consistent if network failure. But with this one, actually, if there is a network failure or Redis is down, actually we have to discuss on this. The last tweets we could have. Actually, I stopped the service, so you have to restart the application. But what we could do if we can't connect to Redis, maybe we wait 1 second and retry, and after 10 seconds, and so maybe we could have a retry logic. So with the ability to reload the tenant from the admin.
It's more reliable, at least it works. So, and it's just 1 ping per second per host, which should be small. It's a weird choice, but it's more reliable. That's what you're saying. Okay.
Yes, because we rely on state. An event. I like the event-oriented way, but you can miss an event.
Mm-hmm.
But state, you stop your app, you restart it, it will see. It will check the current state.
For tenants, it's important to be reliable. Okay, I see. Good. Okay. Anything else you want to show?
Sorry.
So what is that? Which branch is that? Which PR is that? And then I have ultimate.
I can show something like changing autoroute.
Now we trust you. We'll test it offline.
Okay.
I'll try it also because we want to see Dean's demo also. But that's great. That's a huge achievement already. I assume there are other services that will need to be distributed, like Lucene, that is not distributed. Well,
yes, I have some little thing on my notes. Quite all the things are, all services are distributed aware. I made autoroute. Yes, it was not before. In the same way, so you can charge an autoroute in one instance and it's up to date in the other one. And in my note, where it is, sorry, yes, I have, I don't remember the detail, but it's all the things that use the same file system, and they use a file for caching or for media cache, map cache, and Lucene indexes. One idea I have, maybe in other PR, is to do distributed command. If we agree that in a distributed environment we can't have multiple instances on the same file system, we could have at least distributed command, for example, to purge the media cache or to purge the sitemap cache, or to research, rebuild these indexes. This is where I am.
Okay. That's great. Thank you. Awesome. Yeah, you will just say later, but I don't want you to go on more details on that.
Yes.
The next step also is to support different strategies for tenant distribution, meaning that when you create a tenant, it could decide by itself which hosts should be able to serve the tenant.
Yes, I remember. ORCAD cluster.
Yeah. So right now, when you create a tenant, every host has the tenant. So if you have 1,000 tenants, every host supports the 1,000 tenant, and it doesn't scale out very well because at some point you hit a limit, and adding a new machine doesn't solve the issue. It will just duplicate all the tenants on the same machine, on all the machines. But something we talked about and we designed, and that I'm sure you will do at some point, is a way to be able to change how tenants are hosted on different host instances, such that you could say that if you have 3 instances, you have 50% of each tenant on all instances, so that you have redundancy for everything. So one tenant is always on 2 machines, but it's distributed with the algorithm you want. So you don't have to maintain all the tenants on every host. And this way you can really scale out and just add more servers to support more load, because they will never fill up with all the tenants, just the ones they can support. Just the load they can support. That would be great. And I'm sure that should not be very, very hard to implement with what you just did now.
I remember I started working on it one or 2 years ago.
Yes.
By using
design. Yeah.
By using a proxy.
Yeah, the design is.
I just tried Autoroute. I changed it in one instance.
Thank you.
Because I don't know in English.
Thank you very much, Tanchai. Awesome. Thank you.